Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to thank you for being here tonight. It's such an honor to me that you people who are so busy with your everyday life would take the time to come out and listen to a talk about the economic impact of the environmental movement and what's happening to us here in America today. What is happening to our land base? What is this environmental movement? You know, ladies and gentlemen, if we really stop and analyze what's happening to us in this generation, we're going to have to realize that this generation would possibly be deemed as a generation who was losing touch with reality. In time, we may look back and realize that we were the most gullible generation on the face of the earth. Are we a people who are so easily frightened and easily intimidated? What is it about the environmental movement that is capturing the very soul of this nation? You see, what's happening in the environmental movement is that it's beginning to separate man from the land. And unless we're able to mine, mill, or harvest out of the land, we can never receive any new wealth. Isn't it odd that the politicians aren't talking about that? Nobody is telling you, and nobody is telling me day by day, where our land is going and how our land is being locked up. Do you realize that today, as I stand before you, fully 50% of America's land base is in the control of the federal government or the state government? Did we realize that fully 50% of our land base is off limits for us to be able to receive any taxes from, or for us to be able to work the land and not only yield the wealth from the land, but be able to yield a future from the land? You know, it was Edmund Burke who once said that man is seldom disposed to give up his freedoms unless under some pretext of necessity. Well, the politically correct thing to do today is to say that the necessity of the 90s and of the 80s is the new environmental movement. The environmental movement, though, when we look at it very critically, has to be analyzed from this point of view. Are we really trying to save the species, or are we trying to lock up our resources? And in effect, what we do with those resources is we begin to put those resources in the hands of a few people, thus driving up the prices of minerals and driving up the prices of lumber. What is some of the programs that the environmentalists are engaging in? Well, some of the programs are programs of fear. Fear that is so broad and so expansive that you and I can do nothing about it. What about the idea that the earth is warming? You know, we hear that every day, that the earth is warming. But when we look back, where are temperatures taken? Well, they're taken from airports. Weather balloons go up from airports, where heat rises from miles and miles of concrete. And you see, the satellites that are recording data around the globe will tell us that as today, the earth is not warming. But you see, what the pseudoscientists who have turned into political scientists and lobbying scientists are saying is that these issues are so huge that you and I can do nothing about it. What about the issue of carbon dioxide? You see, we read time and time again that there's a tremendous gaseous effect that has occurred in this nation because of too much carbon dioxide. Oh my goodness, carbon dioxide is the bad gas of the day. That's the new politically correct thing to say. Carbon dioxide, I remember learning about, was something that we breathe out and trees breathe in. I learned that in the 5th grade. You see, carbon dioxide is the very molecular link between the atmosphere and the food chain here in this earth. We can't have too much carbon dioxide. What would happen if we had more carbon dioxide? Well, if we had more carbon dioxide than we would today, we'd have far lusher forests and far more foliage on trees. You see, in Livermore Institutes and in their laboratories in Southern California, they ran a very interesting experiment. They pumped in 50% more carbon dioxide into a controlled room, and it turned out that the trees and the other vegetation yield 300% the amount of fruit that would be normal, and 300% greater foliage, more leaves, healthier leaves. Carbon dioxide is absolutely a necessity. But we have these problems imposed on us in a manner that it leaves us helpless to be able to do anything about.